much.
Next, I'm going to invite Professor Indranil Manna, who is FNA. These are all fellows, essentially, National Academy of Science. He's a fellow of Institute of Engineers, fellow of Institute of Metals. He's a DSc, Premchand Raichand Scholar, and of course a PhD. I don't think I can elaborate on everything, doing justice to his earned accolades. Professor Manna is our 1983 class metallurgy. He is currently the Vice Chancellor of BIT Mesra and the 14th President of the Indian National Academy of Engineering. He is a fellow of all the National Academies of Sciences like INSA, IASC, NASI, etc., and Engineering, which is National Academy of Engineering. He received the Engineering Sciences Prize of the World Academy of Sciences in 2014 and was elected a fellow in 2015. He is also a member of the Asia Pacific Academy of Materials. He worked as a guest scientist in Germany, which is like German Academic Exchange Service Fellowships and Humboldt Fellow. And he also worked in USA, UK, France, Poland, Japan, Singapore, etc. He is a former president of the Indian Institute of Metals 2016 through 2017 and Material Science section of the Indian Science Congress 2009 through 2010. University of Kolani and Kazi Nazrul University have conferred DSc on him in 2017. He was selected as a distinguished alumnus by IIST Shibpur in 2014 and IIT Kharagpur in 2016. He served as the Director of Council of Scientific and Industrial Research, CGCRI, in Jadavpur during 2010 through 2012, and he's a former Director of IIT Kanpur during 2012 and 2017. So, Indranil, please.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ghosh. Honorable Chairperson of Board of Governors, Madam Tejaswini Kumar, Professor Chakravarti, Sudhanshu Chakravarti, fellow panelists, the students of IIST Shibpur, my fellow alumni of BE College or GAABESU or IIST Shibpur, friends, good morning, good evening, and namaskar to each one of you. Indeed, it's an honor to be able to invite and speak on this platform with Dr. Ghosh. It was actually I who thought about this particular topic, which I personally feel is of very great relevance to all the budding engineers who are going to be part of the engineering profession very soon. Simple words, starting from the days of making a cave into an habitat to designing the first ever wheel to roll out. Engineering started thousands of years ago, and today we are in the midst of a very exciting period where almost every other day new and newer innovations make our lives much more safer, easier, and enjoyable. So engineering all along has been the answer to the human aspiration. In the primitive days, engineering was derived through experiences and trial and error. Today, engineering is based on firm scientific principles. So, engineering is nothing but translation of the fundamental knowledge of science, which we may say know why, into the applications through the exercises of know-how. Now, in this process, we basically are based on the knowledge society and the knowledge system. So for simplicity's sake, if I consider knowledge as a coin, it has two sides. One side is teaching or dissemination. The other side is research, creation of new knowledge. Now, since I come from the academic background and I was asked to specifically speak on the career opportunities lying in the academia and research, I would confine myself to that particular mandate. And this is exactly why I brought up the example of a coin having two sides. In academia and research organizations, we all pursue knowledge. And when we teach in the classroom, we actually use the already existing body of knowledge. But unless we create new knowledge and add on to that and supplement, the knowledge remains static. And that certainly doesn't help for the society to pursue newer innovations and answer to the aspirations. So that's why we need research. Now, for those who would be interested in pursuing a career in academia or research organizations, I have the following experiences to share with you. First of all, we have to understand that any profession, be it engineering or any other profession, always has to be based on a knowledge pyramid. So the structure has to be wider and much more firm, and leading to an apex, which eventually will lead to the final pinnacle. So what it means that if you join engineering education courses after your higher secondary, then the first 4 years of undergraduate teaching has to be devoted in learning nothing but the fundamentals. Like we just heard Amit talking about various facets of the newer emerging areas, but please remember that unless you have a foundation, all these pursuing of newer areas will not be very fruitful. So 4 years, whether you are in mechanical, electrical, or architecture, must be devoted to learning the fundamentals of that particular subject domain, so that in the future, if you choose an academic or research career, you can go into deeper, but without discounting the importance of those fundamental foundation. The postgraduate, be it at the master's or the doctoral level, is chasing much deeper and much more finer details, which essentially means vertical penetration. So more and more, increasingly, one becomes sort of myopic in view, only with a very noble intention that finally the knowledge that you create through your thesis, through your publications or patent would be something that doesn't exist. And this is what it means to the adding to the existing volume of knowledge already known. And this would be to the extent that the publication, the last line of your conclusion should be such that which doesn't exist until now. The thesis should develop certain body of knowledge which was not known to the profession until then. So we built through undergraduate, postgraduate, doctoral, even postdoctoral, and so on, to bring up to a level whereby we can pursue the profession of engineering with certain authority and confidence that I not only know the background, I also can define a new challenge. And this definition of new challenge requires that amount of background. Now, in this pursuit, I would say there are a few things which are very important. First of all, we should be ready to ask and face a question. What it means is that engineering, for that matter, is never based on only established doctrines. Engineering never gives one unique solution. Science in specific areas gives you a specific and a very unique solution, whereas engineering is based on translation. So engineering, nobody can say that this design of the building or this design of the computer or the laptop or this particular design of an aircraft is the ultimate, and there'll be no further development on that. In fact, every day we keep on to the existing body of knowledge. And in fact, innovation doesn't come per se just out of the blue. Innovation comes through fundamental discoveries, followed by several newer inventions, and eventually value additions, which we call innovations. So engineering actually borrows from the fundamentals of these discoveries and inventions and adds to the existing design or processes by way of such innovations. In order to do that, we have to be truthful to only one single entity, and that is a tested establishment of the merit of the particular development that we are talking about. So herein, as an academic or as a researcher, we must also admit that both quality and quantity matters. So on one hand, one would be able to produce certain volume of new innovations and new knowledges, but the quality of that also is no less important. So it means that when we are trying to establish a new truth, obviously the newness is very important, but in order to establish that new doctrine, we must also have sufficient volume of evidences. So you have to go through a very systematic process. This also allows me to bring to the other very important factor, that there are two ways you can look at engineering. One is from the input side and other from the output side. When you say input, then you mean what degrees do you have, how much training do you have, what kind of experience you have gathered over the years. So you are a mechanical engineer, you did that degree in that particular institution, you went through so many years of experience and in the profession. These are very important input. But the output is what you produce, what you actually deliver. And in order to deliver that, your ultimate utility in the society and the profession will be judged by what you deliver. So for that reason, we have to understand that engineering ultimately, if the mantra is solution, then it has to be a systematic approach. In other words, you cannot remain a mechanical engineer forever in your life. If you look at the aircraft, nobody can claim that it's made only by the aerospace or mechanical or, for that matter, some other branches of engineering. For creating a system solution, you require input from various disciplines of engineering. And that's where, at the professional level, the need for innovation, research, new knowledge, all these are extremely important. So we all are extremely proud of ISRO managing to land on 30th of August this year on the south pole of the moon. No other nation has done that so far. So here is an example where India is the first. And that's what should be our landmark, that whatever we do, we have been doing all these years, very many exercises, maybe successful, maybe useful, but most of these exercises were chasing up the job. We were all trying to catching up. Today, time has come when India has to be the leader. So we have to lead. And in order to do that, we must be aware of the ground reality. So on one hand, we feel very proud of saying that we are now the most populous nation with more than 1.4 billion people, and also the youngest nation in the world. Being the youngest, we have the highest aspiration, highest ambition. We are the fifth largest GDP. We have landed on the south pole of the moon. We are one of the atomic energy harvesting nation. We have a huge plan for going up to more than 1/3 generation by solar power. There are very many things which make us immensely proud. In fact, in terms of scientific publication, India occupies the third position in the world, only after the US and China. So there are certainly facets which make us immensely proud. But on the other hand, the flip side is that if you look at our position in terms of Human Development Index, per capita energy consumption, per capita income, the availability of clean water, various road transport issues, habitat issues, there are plenty of things to be done. So in terms of the country's need for energy, water, environment, transport, and physical security, and above all, education, modern education, all these require immense amount of engineering intervention. Going by the words of the Honorable Prime Minister that India aspires to be an Atmanirbhar or a self-reliant nation, if you have to realize that there's no other goal than to pursue engineering to the fullest extent possible. So it's time that we develop the habit of looking at the output more than the input. We develop our intention to look for a complete system solution. And most importantly, we start chasing merit and not necessarily conformity to an established doctrine. So I'll stop here only with the hope that the future generations of engineers from IIST Shibpur would be fully equipped to make a huge difference and a very significant impact to the society in India and to the profession on the whole. Thank you very much, and Jai Hind.
Thank you very much, Professor Manna.